Picture this. You're standing on a farm so massive that you could fit the entire country of Israel inside it and still have room left over. We're not talking about your typical American homestead, where you know every corner of your property. We're talking about operations so enormous that ranchers use helicopters just to find their cattle. These aren't farms. They're agricultural empires that most people can't even wrap their minds around. Number 7. The Texas legend that started it all. Let's kick things off close to home with a ranch that's become the stuff of American legend. King Ranch in Texas covers 825,000 acres of prime South Texas rangeland. To put that in perspective, it's bigger than the entire state of Rhode Island. This place has been running cattle continuously since 1853, making it one of the oldest ranching operations in American history. But here's what really sets King Ranch apart. This operation runs about 35,000 head of cattle across land so vast that modern cowboys have traded in their horses for helicopters and motorcycles just to keep track of the herds. The ranch is so large, it has its own zip code, its own fire department, and even its own railroad system for moving cattle and equipment around the property. What blows my mind is that after 6 generations, King Ranch is still owned by the same family, while most family farms get divided up or sold off after a generation or two. The King family figured out how to keep this empire together for over 170 years. They didn't do it by luck. They did it through innovation that changed American ranching forever. Back in the 1920s, when other ranchers were content with whatever cattle they had, King Ranch was busy creating an entirely new breed. They crossed British Shorthorn cattle with Indian Brahman bulls to produce the Santa Gertrudis, the very first beef breed developed in America. These animals were specifically engineered to thrive in the brutal South Texas heat, humidity, and insects that would kill other cattle breeds. But cattle aren't the only thing happening on this massive spread. King Ranch also grows cotton, grain, sorghum, and other crops on hundreds of thousands of acres. They employ over 400 people year-round, and the operation runs like a small city with its own housing, schools, and medical facilities. You could literally drive for hours across King Ranch property without ever crossing onto someone else's land. The ranch generates over $300 million annually and has weathered every drought, economic crash, and market shift by constantly adapting while staying true to its cowboy roots. Number 6. The Australian giant that redefines big. If King Ranch impressed you, wait until you hear about Anna Creek Station in South Australia. This cattle station makes Texas ranches look like hobby farms. Anna Creek covers an absolutely staggering 5.8 million acres. That's larger than the entire state of Maryland. In fact, this single property is roughly the size of Belgium, yet it only runs about 17,000 head of cattle. Why so few cattle on so much land? Because Anna Creek sits in one of the harshest environments on Earth. The Australian outback is brutal. This place gets about 5 inches of rain per year. Temperatures regularly soar past 120 degrees Fahrenheit. And the vegetation is so sparse that each cow needs hundreds of acres just to find enough grass to survive. Managing Anna Creek requires a completely different approach to ranching than anything we're used to in America. The station is so remote that supplies have to be flown in by airplane. Workers often go weeks without seeing another human being outside their immediate crew. To manage the herds across such vast distances, cowboys use helicopters, motorcycles, and GPS tracking systems. They can't rely on traditional horseback herding when it would take days just to ride from one end of the property to the other. The station has its own airstrip, workshops, and living quarters that function like a small town in the middle of absolute nowhere. What makes Anna Creek truly mind-blowing is the logistics involved. Water has to be trucked in or pumped from underground sources that are sometimes hundreds of miles away. Every single decision has to account for the extreme isolation and brutal climate. Anna Creek was first established back in the 1860s, and for most of its history, it ran sheep. But wild dingoes kept attacking the flocks, so they switched to cattle, which could better defend themselves. The station has changed hands several times over the years. In 2016, the Williams Cattle Company, a South Australian family business, bought Anna Creek for an estimated $16 million. What's fascinating is how small the crew is for such a massive operation. Just 11 people manage the entire station. One manager, 8 station hands, a machinery operator, and a cook. That's it. They use light aircraft to spot cattle from the air. Then workers on motorcycles round them up across the dusty plains. The station operates on a budget of millions of dollars annually, just for basic maintenance and supplies, with helicopters burning through thousands of gallons of fuel each month to monitor cattle across the vast landscape. Number 5. Where old Australia still lives. Not far from Anna Creek sits another Australian giant that proves the outback breeds farms on an unimaginable scale. Clifton Hills Station spans 4.2 million acres of some of the most challenging agricultural land on planet Earth. This place makes Death Valley look like a garden paradise. Temperatures at Clifton Hills regularly soar over 120 degrees Fahrenheit during summer, and rainfall is measured in inches per year rather than per month. This massive cattle station has been operating since 1876, making it one of the oldest continuously running agricultural operations in Australia. The property is so enormous that it takes over 8 hours to drive from one end to the other. Workers often spend weeks at remote camps without ever returning to the main homestead. The cattle at Clifton Hills aren't your typical livestock. These are specially adapted breeds that can travel miles between water sources and survive on sparse desert vegetation that looks more like moonscape than pasture. The station uses solar-powered water pumps and satellite monitoring to track both cattle and environmental conditions across the vast property. What's truly remarkable about Clifton Hills is how it demonstrates the extremes of modern agriculture. While American farmers worry about drought conditions, these Australian operations have built their entire business model around environments where water is practically non-existent and vegetation is minimal. Yet they still manage to produce high-quality beef for global markets. The station maintains over 200 miles of fencing and operates more than 50 water points, each requiring regular maintenance by crews who must travel hundreds of miles between locations. Number 4. The Chinese Megafarm. That looks like science fiction. Welcome to the future of agriculture. The Mudanjiang City Megafarm in China spans over 22 million acres and represents the largest agricultural operation ever created by human hands. This isn't just a farm. It's an agricultural empire that covers an area larger than South Carolina and produces food for hundreds of millions of people. The Mudanjiang operation specializes in dairy production on a scale that defies imagination. This single farm houses over 100,000 dairy cows in facilities that look more like factories than traditional barns. The entire operation is managed using artificial intelligence, robotics, and satellite monitoring that tracks everything from individual cow health to soil moisture levels across millions of acres. This megafarm represents China's strategy for achieving food security through massive, centrally planned agricultural operations. The scale allows for incredible efficiency. Automated milking systems handle thousands of cows per hour, while computer-controlled feeding systems deliver precisely calculated nutrition to each animal. The farm produces enough milk to supply major Chinese cities while also growing feed crops across vast acreages. What makes Mudanjiang truly shocking is how it challenges everything we think we know about farming. This isn't agriculture, as Americans understand it. This is industrial food production on a scale that treats farming like manufacturing, with the same emphasis on efficiency, automation, and massive scale that characterizes modern industry. The operation employs over 10,000 workers and operates its own processing facilities, transportation networks, and research centers. It essentially functions as a self-contained agricultural city that produces billions of dollars worth of food annually. The farm was created specifically to meet China's growing demand for dairy products and reduce reliance on imports. When you understand that China has over 1 billion people to feed, operations like this start to make sense. Number 3. Farming in hell. The Saudi Desert Miracle. In the middle of the Arabian Desert, where temperatures regularly exceed 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and rainfall is virtually non-existent, sits one of the world's most technologically advanced dairy operations. Almarai's megafarm covers over 400,000 acres of desert that has been transformed into productive agricultural land through sheer engineering brilliance and unlimited financial resources. This Saudi operation houses over 170,000 dairy cows in climate-controlled facilities that maintain perfect conditions regardless of the brutal desert environment outside. Think about that for a second. They're running a massive dairy operation in one of the hottest, driest places on Earth. The farm uses desalinated seawater for irrigation and drinking water, pumping millions of gallons daily through systems that would make American farmers' heads spin. The scale of technology at Almarai is breathtaking. Automated milking systems handle thousands of cows per hour, while computer-controlled feeding systems deliver precisely calculated nutrition to each animal. The farm even grows its own feed crops using circular irrigation systems that create perfect green circles visible from space in the middle of the desert. What makes Almarai truly mind-blowing is how it proves that modern technology can create productive agriculture anywhere on Earth. This operation produces fresh milk and dairy products in one of the world's most challenging environments, then ships products across the Middle East, proving that geography is no longer a limitation for large-scale food production. The farm consumes more electricity than many small cities, operating massive cooling systems, desalination plants, and processing facilities that run 24 hours a day to maintain production in the desert heat. Number 2. The Chinese Grain Empire. Covering over 5.3 million acres across northeastern China, the Beidahuang Group represents agricultural planning on a scale that most Americans simply can't comprehend. This massive operation was created by combining hundreds of smaller farms into a single, centrally managed agricultural empire that feeds a significant portion of China's population. The Beidahuang Group specializes in grain production, growing soybeans, corn, and rice across landscapes so vast they require satellite monitoring to manage effectively. The operation uses precision agriculture techniques, GPS-guided tractors, and automated harvesting systems that work around the clock during harvest season to bring in crops from millions of acres. What makes this operation truly remarkable is its integration of technology and traditional farming knowledge. While the scale is thoroughly modern, the farming techniques often incorporate thousands of years of Chinese agricultural wisdom, creating a unique blend of ancient knowledge and cutting-edge technology. The logistics of managing Beidahuang are staggering. The operation employs tens of thousands of workers, operates its own transportation networks, and even has its own research facilities developing new crop varieties and farming techniques. This isn't just a farm. It's an agricultural corporation that functions like a small country dedicated entirely to food production. The group produces over 4 million tons of grain annually and operates its own seed production facilities, machinery manufacturing plants, and food processing centers, creating a completely integrated agricultural ecosystem. Number 1. The Russian giant that conquered the cold. At the top of our list sits Rousagro, a Russian agricultural empire that spans over 2.5 million acres across multiple regions, making it one of the largest and most diversified farming operations on Earth. Rousagro isn't just massive. It's a vertically integrated agricultural corporation that controls everything from seed production to retail distribution. This Russian giant operates in some of the world's most challenging agricultural conditions, where winter temperatures can drop to -40 degrees Fahrenheit, and growing seasons are measured in months rather than the year-round production possible in warmer climates. Yet Rousagro has mastered cold climate agriculture on a scale that produces enough food to supply major European markets. The operation grows everything from sugar beets to sunflowers across landscapes so vast that different regions experience completely different weather patterns simultaneously. Rousagro uses satellite monitoring, precision agriculture, and massive mechanized systems to manage crops across distances that would take days to cross by car. What makes Rousagro truly extraordinary is how it demonstrates that massive-scale agriculture can succeed even in the world's most challenging environments. This operation proves that with enough technology, planning, and resources, productive agriculture is possible anywhere on Earth, regardless of climate or geography. The company operates over 600 pieces of heavy machinery, including some of the world's largest tractors and combines, while maintaining its own fleet of trucks, trains, and storage facilities. Rousagro produces over 1 million tons of sugar annually and exports products to over 30 countries, generating billions in revenue while employing thousands of workers across rural Russia, where few other economic opportunities exist. The big picture. These 7 massive farms prove that modern agriculture operates on scales that would have been impossible to imagine just a generation ago. From Texas ranches larger than entire states to Chinese megafarms that feed hundreds of millions, these operations represent the cutting edge of global food production and the incredible ingenuity required to feed our growing world. While your backyard garden is important and valuable in its own right, these agricultural giants remind us that feeding the planet requires thinking on scales that challenge everything we thought we knew about farming. They show us both the potential and the problems of industrial-scale agriculture. The efficiency is undeniable, but so are the questions about sustainability, environmental impact, and what we lose when farming becomes more about engineering than connection to the land. If you're fascinated by the incredible world of large-scale agriculture and want to learn more about how food production really works, make sure to subscribe for more mind-blowing facts about the systems that keep our world fed, and check out the next video on your screen where I reveal even more shocking truths about modern agriculture that will change how you think about food forever.